If we can have the council members return, we'll resume the meeting.
I'll give you a call, okay? All right, Kat.
All right. We can get all the council members to return, please, so we can resume the meeting.
Yes.
It's hot up here.
Okay, council will go ahead and resume the meeting at item 22, correspondence from the mayor.
22A, this item was tabled on 4/12/2011, consideration and adoption of a resolution approving change order number 1, which increases the original contract in the amount of $36,786 with Al's Asphalt Paving Company in connection with contract P-09-523-2009 CDBG road paving project and authorizing the mayor and the clerk to execute said change order.
I'll move to remove this item from the table.
Support.
Motion by Mr. List to remove from the table, support by Mr. Warner. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The item has been removed from the table.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Green to approve, support by Mr.
Warner.
Warner. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Green.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mr. Shadig. Would you be so kind as to give us a little background on this, please, again?
I would, and good evening, Council. Todd Shadig, Acting City Engineer. If you can just briefly indulge me just for a second, I have a couple photos of the area that we are looking at for repairs under this change order.
You got it.
There you go.
There you go.
This is an extension it's an addition of some work to the Weller and Waltham project that was done under block grant funds a year and a half ago. We tried to do it on the cheap, I'll be honest, and we tried to use the existing drainage that was out there. It was a standard mill and fill project, and we ended up with some areas of ponding. In particular, at a couple intersections with the new ADA requirements for handicap ramps, we have some ramps that have the base of them frozen in the wintertime, which really isn't acceptable to the pedestrian public that uses the area. So what this change order attempts to accomplish is to eliminate this ponding that it did exist slightly before the project, but was exacerbated by the increase in the level of asphalt that we put over there to patch the roadway. The prices that you have in the change order were negotiated between my office and the contractor and are consistent with other projects we have ongoing in the city. So.
Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Shagan.
You're welcome.
All set? Yeah.
All right. Any other comments from council members?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Stevens?
thank you. Mr. Shadid, how are you today?
Fine, how are you this evening?
Good, good, thank you. So this is to install basically 5 catch basins to alleviate the
That's correct.
problems that we're having. 2 4-footers and 3 2-footers, is that it?
That's correct, that's what's listed.
Okay, and what are they going to do? They're going to tap into to existing?
Yeah, we have an existing large storm sewer that runs down the west side of the Waltham right-of-way there. Unfortunately, it's quite deep, and that's reflected in the tap prices that you see there.
Yeah, so I looked at it, so we were looking at over 7,000 or
$11,000 in 3 taps.
Taps, yeah.
The sewer is almost 17 feet deep there.
okay, then this will alleviate the problem then.
Yes.
All right, thank you
And
very
prolong the
much.
life of the pavement that's been newly installed.
Right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You, any other comments from council members?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Comartin?
Good evening, Mr. Shadid.
Good evening.
Just a question for you. In regards to the negotiation, you said that you negotiated that with the contractor on those issues where the water was ponding. How does that compare to some of our current contracts that we have?
Well, the type B basins that are listed are at $2,100 a pop for only 3. Our other contracts, we do those for about $1,800, but that's in a volume, in a larger quantity. The type A's are listed at $2,500. Other contracts see those at about $2,100 or $2,200. So there's a reflection in here of the contractor having to come back and remobilize. There's no separate mobilization charge here that has been worked into the P items. And, you know, that being taken into account, they are consistent with our other contracts that we have in the city.
Okay, and then you said when we went through and did the road, because of the level of the paving is where we had some of the new ponding that occurred.
Right, I mean, you have an old road that we put a new overlay on top of. We didn't really attempt to change the grade. We didn't do a lot of base course patching on it because we wanted to keep the cost reasonable for the block grant people. So you had some ponding that, like I said, was increased by the level of the new asphalt that lays on top of the old concrete. And you also have ADA compliance issues now that say that the new ramps that go in cannot have a lip of any sort. They have to have a very minimal slope to them. They have to have a flat landing area for people to negotiate the ramps in their wheelchairs, a place for them to rest. And when you do that, the ramps are almost lower than the street a lot of times now. And it's very difficult to get that water to drain in existing situations without a total rebuild. And that is reflected in this change order request.
All right. I think that's about it. There was one other. That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments?
Madam Chair.
Ms. Vogt?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Mr. Shadid.
Good evening.
Do you know why the mayor did not sign the contract change order?
I think we've had this discussion once or twice in the past. He usually only signs the recommendation letter, and then after this body acts on the change order and approves it, he has the ability to sign it just like the clerk does. So that's why we usually wait.
Okay, but he does recommend this and once suggested it be approved.
I believe he signed the cover letter. That
He signed the
came over.
cover
Yes.
letter. I just didn't know why he didn't sign the change order.
That's why.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments from council members? Go ahead and call the question. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Ms. Vogt?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Sadowski?
Yes.
Mr. Liss?
Yes.
Ms. Comartin?
Yes.
Mr. Buckamina?
Yes.
Camp, yes. The motion passed unanimously.
Item 22B, this item died for lack of support for 12/2011. Consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 2 entitled Administration, Article 3 of Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Warren relating to filing fees refund in election for council wards. First reading.
Madam Chair, I'll move the resolution to adopt the ordinance with discussion.
How about first to remove it from the table?
It's not
It's
tabled.
not on the table.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you like to support it? You're right. I apologize. All right, I have a motion by Mr. Liss. No support? Item dies due to lack of support.
Item 22C, request to authorize the publication of 2010 delinquent water and sewer utility service accounts in the approximate amount of $3.7 million and to place same on the 2011 tax rolls.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Vogt, support by Mr. Liss. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, I'll call the question. Ms. Vogt?
Yes.
Mr. Liss?
Yes.
Mr. Sadowski?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Mr. Buckmino?
Yes.
Ms. Comartin?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Camp, yes. The motion passed unanimously.
22D, consideration and adoption of a resolution to approve an amendment to the City of Warren EECBG plan.
Need a motion and support?
I'll make that motion, Madam Chair.
Motion by Mr. Stevens, support by Mr. Green. Any discussion?
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Stevens?
if we could get an overview of what those changes are, so that council is brought up to speed on what's taken place,
Yes.
we'd appreciate it.
Good evening, Mr.
Council.
Gamble.
Good evening, Bill Gamble, Mayor's Office. This is basically an amendment to the plan. There's two changes, really. The implementation to audit recommendations you see on the agenda, you have a couple items. One is for lighting improvements and HVAC improvements, and also the infrared tube heating for the 12-mile fire station and the sanitation building. That's on the consent agenda. So this is to accommodate all those items, and we award 3 contracts to commit the money by the commitment deadline, which is May 31st, 2011. The other change is that the energy audit cannot include pool, anything to deal with a pool due to Recovery Act dollars cannot be spent on pools, golf courses, things like that. So in conversations with the Department of Energy, they asked that anything that was spent in the community center dealing with the pool, so we looked at the square footage of that and the costs of the energy audit as a percentage, and the cost of $2,670.91 must be deleted from the energy audit portion. So that's basically what it is. This is, we bid out these projects, the different the lighting improvements and these HVAC improvements. Basically, there were they're non-efficient rooftop units that had either old or malfunctioning or non-energy efficient. The lighting improvements, basically swapping out T12 bulbs for T8, and so things like that. So basically, and what you see in front of you is the project total for the energy audit recommendations is $506,342.03. The return on investment is $108,283 based on the energy auditor's calculations. So we have a return on investment of 4.68 years, and this is all paid for with grant money through the Energy Efficiency Block Grant.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Could you highlight the change that took place at the sanitation building on the roof, please?
Sure. On the sanitation building, well, we did the green roof there, and then the sanitation building, we're putting infrared tube heating inside of the building, so that's going to be a more energy efficient a type of way to heat the building. It uses radiant heat, so that's